Hello everyone! Today we are playing with Heffy Doodle Jet Alphabeters, the Unbearable Without You and coordinating dies, and the Whatcha Sayin and coordinating dies. I've got this piece of Neenah 110-pound cardstock and I'm using this stitched rectangle die to cut out a rectangle. And then I'm going to use this Sizzix circle framelit to cut out a circle in the center, kind of towards the top. And that's going to be my aperture for the card. I'm taking another piece of Neenah 110-pound cardstock and cutting it down with the same rectangle die. That's going to be the background, what you see behind the circle. So I've also got a piece of Avery repositionable label sheet and I'm cutting a circle out of the center. I'm going to be using this as a mask to mask off basically the area on the background that I want to ink blend and do some glittery stuff with. So I'm about to make a mess, so I need to put down some protection of my craft mat. And I've adhered my background piece down to this craft mat and I'm making a mark with a pencil of where the top of the circle is to make it easier for me to align this mask. That way I can align the top of the mask with the circle so that potentially we'll be able to see through the circle. So this is the Concentric Circle Stencil by MFT and I am going to use Mermaid Lagoon to do some ink blending, and I'm just going around the sides trying to make it a little bit lighter in the center, a little bit darker on the exterior of the circle, and voila, peeling off the mask. It's not a perfect center, but I'm using this BoBunny glitter paste to enhance it a little bit. This was an afterthought. But I'm just smearing the glitter paste. This is a lot like the Nouveau Moonstone paste that I've used in the past. If I had to say that this might have even more finer, like a finer glitter in it, but it works just the same. So now we're going to get a little bit more technical. I have brought out my Sayin transparency grid and my mini Misty, and we're going to do some custom sentiment stamping. I want it to say Crafty Hugs, okay? So the transparency allows me to align these letters straight. You can still mess up, and I do, but you'll see. But it helps you keep things really straight. And really, if you pay a lot of attention and you get your head right down in there, you can totally align these straight. And I did do that on the second go round. Not this first one, but on the second one I did. So it looks all nice and straight here. And then I get to the T and you see, you can tell that it's not straight. But I didn't see that because I didn't get my head all down in there like I should have. And you can see after I stamped this T that it's kind of wonky, but I went back and I cut myself a new sheet and I made it straighter. You gotta get down in there. You gotta get down in there with your head and see it with your eyes. So now I'm stamping Hugs from the Unbearable Without You stamp set. It's a scripty Hugs. And I'm stamping it in Distress Oxide and Mermaid Lagoon, the same blue that I used on the background piece. And I stamped it twice, just to get a nice saturation of color. It's a very pretty blue. I'm just making sure that all my pencil marks are gone. And of course, we have to take a cheese stick break, because Mommy can never do anything semi-important without being interrupted. So now we're going to stamp Versafine, or no, we're going to use Memento Tuxedo Black because we're going to do some Copic coloring, but we're stamping these bears and I do multiple times in case I mess up. Do you do that? I do that. I'm also stamping little craft supplies in their bellies because I wanted to make crafty bears, a lot like Care Bears, but these are crafty bears. So I stamped a pencil and a scissors in the center of their belly. And now I'm also cutting out little masks from that Avery repositionable sheet to cover up the little pencil and the little scissors so that when I color, their bellies will remain white, a lot like my Care Bear inspiration. So this stuff is great to use for masking. So I'm using basic Copic colors here. I also have a Copic color map on my blog at korenwiskman.com if you're interested in the exact colors that I use. But the this browner bear is E40s, like the lower E40s, and then the second bear I end up coloring it in my warm gray markers. And this is a great comparison of how different these two color combinations can be, because this is a much browner bear, and then the second bear becomes a much more gray shade of bear. But when you use the warm gray markers on their own, not with any type of browns, it really does look brown. It looks like a shade of brown. So you can do a lot with your Copic markers, especially if you have a lot of the colors, a lot of the markers. See, this is how it looks much more gray next to the brown bear. I think it's amazing. I love it. So I'm using the lighter shades around their belly to blend into the white. So like the W0 and the E40. And I'm so sad. I have to order some refills for my markers because my W1 marker is not cooperating anymore. And ordering refills is not my most favorite thing because I'd much rather order more colors, right? You want more colors, not refills. I want them to last forever. But they don't. Well, they kind of do because you can refill them, right? At least that's what I convince myself of. So I'm using a little bit of a green to color my green handled scissors there. And I'm using a R20 to do the ears and the nose. So now I'm using the coordinating dies to cut out my bears with my Sizzix sidekick. I love this thing. It's so super handy. And it cuts it out perfectly. Ta-da! Just making sure to get the other one. I love having this little machine on my desk. It makes it so easy and convenient. So now I wanted to add some speech bubbles with a little bit of sayings for my Crafty bears, because Crafty bears to the rescue, right? And I think one says, "I think you are great," and the other says, "You're the best." And then we're going to do the speech bubble outline. And then we're going to cut them out with the coordinating dies. I love this set. It's so versatile and you can use it for all types of cards. So once again, breaking out the Sizzix sidekick to cut out my speech bubbles. I love how they all work together and coordinate together. You can just use the speech bubble die. You can just use the outline speech bubble. I think it's so unique. You don't usually see that much versatility in a speech bubble set. So I'm just making sure that my panel is dry enough to turn it over on its face. And I'm using double-sided adhesive to adhere this panel down. It's a very strong adhesive. Then I'm using Scotch 3M foam tape to pop up that front panel where we cut the circle out. And then I'm also using foam tape to pop up my bears and also the speech bubbles. It's very important to use a strong adhesive, especially when you've used any type of texture paste or glitter paste on your card, because you want it to adhere well. And if it's not a strong enough adhesive, those things will pop off. So you want to make sure you're using a good adhesive for those items. I love how this card turned out in real life with your own eyes. It is so super sparkly and shiny. Find me on Instagram and other social media platforms. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for some random shenanigans at our house.
Where are we going?
That way. Okay, go.
One above you, Sarah. And one above you. Where? Where?
That way behind.
Where are you going? You don't want to talk?
So, Mommy, where are you going, dude?
Look.
You're going to work? You look like you're going to work.
I didn't.
You gonna be careful?
Maybe this hard hat is not cranked up.
It's not cranked up.
It is as cranked as it can be. Here, let's put a buffer up with it.
Buffer.
Okay, take your glasses off a second.
I don't want to do that.
I understand. How's that?
Good.
Yeah, alright.
All right, thumbs up.
How's it?
Alright.
Now you're ready.
What class vest is that?
Beam.
2. Class 2. Class 2.